All right, this is part 2 of rough to final formatting for essays for my class. Excuse me. If you have not watched part 1 of the video, you need to go back and watch that before you watch part 2. We were getting ready to discuss what the key to the grammar editing marks mean. So I'm just going to go over a few of them here. The key is separated into 15 different identifiers, 1 through 15. Several of them are comma errors. One is comma for an intro phrase, which means that you should have put a comma after the word that I highlight, but you didn't. 2 is a comma splice error, and a comma splice error is when you put a comma between 2 independent clauses in a sentence, but you either need end punctuation or a semicolon. Or after that comma, you could put a coordinating conjunction such as and, but, or, nor, for, so, or that. 3 is commas for 2 independent clauses, meaning you put an and or a but there, but you need a comma before one of those words. 4 means you need to check out the Hints About Writing worksheet. The Hints About Writing worksheet is a big part of your syllabus, and it goes through several different errors that I see quite a bit in student writing, everything from homophone errors to pronoun errors. So that's just something that I would take a look at as well. It could be anything from slang to writing out contractions. We also have commas for dependent phrases and interrupters. Commas not needed is number 7. 8 is a verb tense error, meaning maybe you wrote had and you should have wrote have. 9 is either a plural or a possession error. Maybe you wrote the word plural, but it should have been possessive, or vice versa. 10, something is either not capitalized or should be capitalized. 11, it's spelled wrong. 12 is a word choice error. 13, it's an awkward word or phrase. Sometimes if you just read that aloud, you'll be able to figure it out. 14 is a run-on, meaning you probably have at least 2, if not 3 or 4 sentences, and you need some sort of end punctuation. And 15 is a fragment error. So we're going to take a look at this student paper that I have here. So when you get a notification, either from me that I have graded all of the assignments and it's time for you to go into your final draft and start editing, and please do not start working on your final draft until you have gotten the notification that I have graded final draft, rough drafts. You can go into Moodle, go into your rough draft link, and when you go into the rough draft link, you're going to see 2 documents. You're going to see the document that you uploaded, and then you're going to see the document that I uploaded. It's going to have the same name, except at the end, you're going to see the word graded. And when you open that, what I need you to do is copy all of your text. So highlight all of your text, and either by right-clicking and copying or by Control C, and then go down to your next clean page and either do Control V or right-click paste. Paste that essay on your next clean page. So now you're going to have 2 essays in the same document, okay? You're going to have the rough draft that you wrote and I made comments on first. And then you're going to have the second draft, which is the one that you are going to correct. Please do not do anything to this first rough draft. The one at the top is for my reference. You are going to correct the second draft. When I open your rough draft, the first thing that I do is scroll down to the second draft, because I'm assuming that you have followed the directions and left this first draft completely alone, because it is supposed to be for my reference. Because if you are going through this second draft and making all of your corrections in this draft, sometimes I need to look at the correction that you make in this draft. I need to go back up here sometimes and look at the comment that I made. So I need you to not touch the first version of your paper that is in this document, which we refer to as the rough draft. So, in what is going to become the final draft of your paper, which will begin on page 3 or 4 or 5 of this document, because your rough draft is on pages 1, 2, or 3, however many pages it took you to type your rough draft. You are now going to begin your editing process for your final draft. So you'll notice that I have all these comment bubbles over here on the right. Your first comment is a number 1. So if we go back to the document and look to see what a number 1 error was, it was comma for an intro phrase. So what you're going to do is insert the comma that you needed. And in that comment bubble, you're going to write what you did to correct that error. I inserted a comma for an intro phrase because I had left it out. So how and why you had to correct that error is what needs to go in the comment bubble. So your correction and your comment on that correction go in your final draft. The next error, slang, out of the blue. You could change out of the blue to out of nowhere. You could write slang is not necessary in formal essays. I received an email, 7. 7 is comma not needed error. Whoops. So you take that comma out and you write, I removed an unneeded or unnecessary. Lawson cannot spell today. An unnecessary comma. At the time, number 1 error, once again, comma for an introductory phrase. I added comma because I had an intro phrase. I was working at a rather large law firm in Winston-Salem. 7, that comma was not needed. Removed an unneeded comma. I loved my job. I got along well with my supervising attorneys. 2, this is a comma splice error. This means that right here, you put a comma between 2 independent clauses. So you need to either put in punctuation, either a period or a semicolon, or put a coordinating conjunction behind that comma. So I'm going to put a period. Corrected the comma splice by inserting a period. Clearly, I had to weigh the pros and cons, and that was an extensive list. This is supposed to be a comma for an introductory phrase, but I want to show you something here. So let's say this person decides that they want to take out the word clearly. And when they do that, the comment bubble goes away. Well, you have to have a comment bubble here because I had a comment bubble here. So you can do one of 2 things. You could either hit the undo button and get that comment bubble back, or if you really want that word clearly gone, you can take out that word clearly, highlight I, go up to review, click new comment, and then type, I deleted the transition word clearly. So you go through this draft and you do that for every comment that I put in. Now, the person's paper that we're looking at had 15 comments. It says 16, but 15 is me saying that they had great content. So they needed to go through and do this for every single comment that they had, and then copy and paste their rubric to the end. You really need to make sure that you proofread your paper, because if you have 50 or 75 errors, it's going to be quite a bit of editing on your part. When you're finished, you click Save As. You take out the graded. It should already be saved as your first initial last name and the assignment title, and then you put in Final Draft. Then you upload it to Moodle, and you are good to go. I do not need a clean copy of the essay. You should only have 2 copies of the essay in your final draft. The rough draft, which you're not going to touch, and the final draft, which has your corrections and your correction comments. There should not be a clean copy of your paper. If you have any questions, you can come to office hours, or you can shoot me an email and let me know what's going on. Thanks, and I will talk to you soon.